Okay, let's wire up some flippers. And what we're going to use for wiring identification is the one that says plug connectors. I want you to go back to when we did the general illumination and the switched illumination. This brown wire here. This is the brown wire pictorially, and it is 6. Wire color is 6, so it does position 6, solenoid bus playfield. This goes into the power transformer. This is what basically powers up the flippers. So there's that part, and then there's this part. Orange, green, and this is brown with white on the diagram, but it's brown with yellow because that's what I had. This goes to your solenoid driver board. It lives right here on J1. Okay, so that plugs in. As such, okay, this is what feeds your flippers. So if we look on the plug connector, it's right here. So there's 3 things. Sorry, there's 3 things going on here. It's flippers and the out hole. Okay, so there's the flipper, right flipper 70, that's orange, left flipper 440, that's brown, and then that's gray with white, but in our case it's going to be gray with yellow. So basically we feed it through the machine and we end up coming here where the flippers are. Okay, here's the orange, and this is the brown, we'll call it power wire for lack of a better word. It comes down the river, it daisy chains to the right, then it's going to hook up to the fuse, and then it's going to end at the right. Sorry, this is actually left. It daisy chains left, hooks up to the fuse, and it's going to end up at the right. So these are the 2 wires that are going to get hooked up to the right flipper. These are the 2 that are going to get hooked up to the left flipper. And the white, the gray wire with white is right here. And this one is going to go to the out hole kicker. So that's going to attach to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the coils in. I'm going to solder these in. And then the flipper, the whole flipper wiring will be done. Then we'll start on the solenoids. So flippers hook up to here, to the 1 amp play fuse, and the solenoids take off from there. Okay, let's wire up some flippers. I'm not going to actually do the soldering. I just want to show you where the wires go. So a lot of the times you're looking how to wire flippers up, especially, this is specific to the Bally's. So this again is KISS. And you look at pictures, you get confused because they're taken at the angles, whatever. So I'm going to show you a bird's eye view. This will help. Now, here's the wires we're going to be playing with. It's the green and the orange. This is from the driver board. Okay, and the brown here, this goes into the power supply. Okay, into the transformer, into that power supply. So I call this power. I don't know exactly. They call it illuminate, not some kind of a bus or whatever, right? But this is the main power that comes and feeds both coils. And then the green and the orange send the signal back to the computer to tell if it's flickering left or right. Okay, so now let's just move these out of the way. So what we got going down is here's the brown wire. Okay, so the brown comes down. It's right here. So remember, it snakes down this highway. And then we've also got the orange and the green. Okay, green shoots off to the left side. I know this is my right hand, but this is the left side of the playfield because remember, the playfield's turning around. So don't get confused. That's why I've got it marked a little higher up, that this is left, this is right. So the green hooks up here. Okay, that's where it lives. You're going to solder it and away you go. Now the brown, oh sorry, let's go to the orange. So the orange lives over here. So it's the extreme left. We're looking at it right, but it's actually left side of the coil for both of them. Okay, so once you got that, you're halfway home. Okay, so both on the left side. Now both on the extreme right side, or left, the way you're looking at it, don't get confused, are the browns. Okay, these are the browns coming from the power supply. Now, If you look under yours, you're going to see it the way you're going to see it. It's probably going to go from here. It's going to pull a daisy. Well, we'll actually do it. It'll daisy to here. Okay, it'll do a daisy to this brown. Then it'll go and daisy to the fuse. And then one wire will end up going to the brown lug. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cheat a bit here. It's going to accomplish the same thing, but I'm going to feed everything to the fuse and then draw from the fuse. So I'll actually do that just to show you guys what I'm talking about. And it's just going to clean it up a bit. I can imagine they probably, the reason they didn't do this in production is because obviously they don't want too many wires floating around. And plus, if you daisy in pairs, like here, we're introducing a 3-wire here at the fuse, which would have probably slowed them down on the assembly line back in the day. So that's why they went with the daisy, the 2 daisy. But we're going to cheat a bit here. Again, it's going to accomplish the same thing. So I'm just going to make sure. Again, I'm going to solder off camera just to speed things up. I do pre-solder. I'll pre-solder this. I'll pre-solder the fuse clip. And then when I go to put them together, it's going to be an easy solder. Okay, so that's going to go there. Let's just put it there for now. And then I'm going to, brown goes here. Okay. And then we're going to go under here. A brown will go here. Easy as pie. I'll solder these up and then I'll talk to how we break the chain of command over here. Okay. Okay, orange is hooked up, and just so you know, guys, I did write it down there. Brown, green. So green's on, orange is on, brown is on. I forgot to mention you got to hook up the little breaker wire. So one goes here. I'm gonna get better angle here. Yeah, one goes to the lower or upper lug. It doesn't really matter. Okay, and then the middle lug here will go to whichever one you don't use. Okay, so let me do that and I will bring you back. Again, so the brown, both browns have another wire attached that goes to the lug. I'm using a green with a yellow tracer just so it's a little easier to see. And I'll bring you back when that's wired up. There's the other side of the brake, which is going to get soldered to the middle lug. Same thing here. Okay, going to the middle. Done. Okay, so brown breaker wire, orange all by itself, and then breaker wire to the other side. So real quick, this is how flipper works. So there's actually 2 coils in here. Okay, one of them is strong and one of them is very weak. So what happens is when you do your initial flick with the button, it needs strength to propel the ball. But once the ball is gone, all the flipper has to do is hold the flipper up when you're still pressing the button. So that's where this brake comes in. So the first initial flip is the real high current, the high power, bang, and then it brakes. See, brakes it, then it goes on the second coil. And the second coil is very weak, but it's strong enough to keep the plunger down. If you had full bionic power, the coil will melt, and that happens a lot. Sometimes if you don't adjust the gap here, so if it's still touching, it's still, there's no difference. It's not really breaking, right? If they're still touching in the open position, and it's the high coil that's holding it, and you'll literally melt the coil. Okay, so now we're gonna get to the solenoids, and then, wow, we're gonna get to the lighting, okay? Looks a little different since the last time we met. Put the solenoids in. I also put the kicker solenoid in on this side. So now we're gonna start hooking up the solenoids. So where are we going to go? So here's the fuse that we wired the flippers into. Remember, this is the wire that I called the main coming in. So now we're going to hook up the solenoids. Solenoids start on the other end of the fuse. Okay, so we're going to go back to the whole daisy. So it starts on this end, goes into the kick-out coil, and then we're just going to feed it to the banded side. Sorry, not the non-banded side. Let me get you a better picture here. Yeah, the banded side of the solenoid is where the yellow wire goes. So basically, we're going to go from here. We're going to run down this little highway. We're going to hook it up to here. Then we're going to daisy to here. Then we're going to go back out on the highway. And then we're going to go to this one. I'm going to come back. And then hook up the other 3. Plus we need the, obviously, for the drop targets as well. And I'll show you how we're going to hook up the individual solenoids. Once that's done, then we're going to test. Okay, let's work on the solenoids. As luck would have it, I don't have the video. So I'm doing a mock-up after the fact of a different playfield. But this is basically how you're going to get this done. All right, so you have all your solenoids. Okay? What you're going to do is you're going to go to your manual that tells you where all the solenoids are. All right, so for example, top 07. Anything in a box denotes the solenoid, okay? So again, box, box, box. So number 07, we go to the identification chart, and 07 is a top thumper bumper. 08 is the left slingshot, right slingshot, so on and so forth, okay? So find all the solenoids, then you're going to transpose the information on the playfield. So there's your top thumper bumper, okay? Now, you're going to go one step further. You're going to write down the wire color and where it sits on the wire holder, plus where it goes in on the solenoid lamp. So in this case, it's wire color 7-4. It's the 10th spot on the holder, and it's J5 is the lamp. So where did I find all that? Well, we went to this part. Okay, so here we go. The voltage regulator, solenoid driver board. Here is where all the wires hook up for all the solenoids. So bottom thumper bumper, top thumper bumper, right, left. Oh, the gate, forgot the gate right there. Right slingshot, a drop target reset, and the left slingshot. So we were talking about the top thumper bumper. It's wire 7-4, and it goes on the 10th spot on the driver board for J5. Okay, there's the solenoid driver board. There's J5. So eventually that wire that we're going to hook up to the solenoid is going to feed down. You know, we're going to do the river thing. It's going to feed out. And then the wiring harness, we're going to cut it and we're going to put it in the right holes. Okay, let's just take another quick example. Let's look at the gate. Okay, and it's actually, gate's a good one because it's marked differently here. So if we look at the gate, it is, according to this, top thumper, left slingshot, right here, number 10, right bottom gate. Okay, we look here, oh, there it is, number 10, right bottom gate. So remember, that's the gate that opens and closes, that decides whether the ball will continue on the playfield or if it's going to get ejected. Now remember, this thing is backwards, meaning, yeah, it's the left side, but when you flip it around, this is actually the right side. So make sure you denote that too. So on the thumper bumpers, for example, make sure you denote right thumper bumper, left thumper bumper. They're backwards, okay? Not the end of the world. If you do wire them incorrectly, and by the time you get down to the connector and you wire them backwards here, you'll figure that out pretty quickly, because what'll happen is you'll be, you know, the ball will be pressing here, but then this one will be firing off. All right, so it's just a question of just reversing the wires. But if we get it done better, or right at the first time, that's a better shot. So here's the gates. Again, we're marking what everything is. right sling, left sling, drop target, everything. Mark that all properly. So the gate is going to be an 8-1 wire. 8 is black, 1 is red, and it goes on the 7th spot on the connector. 1, remember it's marked here, right? There's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So when you put the wire in the solenoid on the non-banded side, and you fling it across, you come around and you go to here, that's eventually where it's going to end. Okay, so sorry I didn't have the original to work with, but I think you get the gist of what we're trying to do. Same as the switch matrix, marking, identifying everything, going to the schematic really quickly, see where it is, identify where it is, put the proper wire according to the schematic, the hole on the wiring harness, not the hole, sorry, the slot for the connector. And these I like to keep the colors proper. Make sure you use a proper wiring color. And then that's it. So again, everything's going to run through here. It's going to exit here. And then the same happens for these three now. It's just the same process, and then we'll tighten up the wires as we go. But as you can see, we started with a pretty big, looked like a pretty big mess, but everything followed. Everything's now nice and tight. I'll go back and, tighten up a few other ones as well, as I think it's required. But yeah, so as far as basically this part of the playfield down is done. Coils, flippers, all that stuff. Once I do that, then we're going to bench test it to make sure that the coils and everything work, and I'll bring you back for that. Well, it's beginning to look like a porcupine. Okay, so all of the solenoids are done. Shouldn't say done, they've been wired up. Okay, and then everything is coming here. Now remember, here's the reason why we start at the solenoid and then work our way around, because you can't judge what the length of the wire is going to be. So when you get to this point, you just cut them off. Now we're going to put a connector on, and then we're going to hook it up to a test jig to see if the solenoids are working, and the flippers too. So I'll bring you back for that. All right, here's our pinball machine on a table. This represents the body. There's your power supply. There's your driver board. There's your NPU. I don't have the lamp board on because remember that part's not done. So what we're going to do is we're just going to check to make sure the solenoids are working. I haven't turned it on yet, so let's hope there's no blue magic smoke. So ready, go. Oh, that's always a good sign. First on, nothing pops. Oh. Okay, that seems pretty good. All right, remember I have this is pinball on a spot. First one is it's going to cycle the lamps, which we don't have. Second press is going to cycle the displays. Now the solenoid should start popping. Let's see what happens. Okay, that's good. Wow, okay, now let's just test the flipper. So I'm going to turn it back on. Okay, let's give it some credits. All right, let's try the flippers. Now remember, the flippers aren't 100%. What do you know? They work. Seems to be good, guys. Just, we got the flippers here, right? All right, pretty happy with that.